Hi, I'm Brenda. Welcome back to the channel. Today's story came in through a letter from one of our loyal subscribers. It's about betrayal, heartbreak, and a sister who crossed the ultimate line. If you're new here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. I read dozens of letters every week, stories about love, lies, and shocking revenge. But this one hit differently. It stayed with me long after I finished reading. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, this will speak to your soul. And in the comments, let me know what stories you want next: revenge, family drama, or forbidden love. Now let's hear from Laura, not her real name, who lives in a quiet Texas town. She's 38, a nurse, a mother of 2, and was married to David for 12 years. Everyone thought they were the perfect couple. Kind, hardworking, admired. But Laura never imagined the betrayal would come from her own blood. Her younger sister Amy was the wild one. Flirty, bold, the center of every room. Laura was more grounded, gentle, responsible, always putting others first. She never once thought Amy would be the one to destroy her world. Not until that one trip to the lake changed everything. A weekend getaway, Laura noticed something strange. Amy and David kept whispering, laughing, sharing private glances. There was an energy between them Laura couldn't ignore. It felt like a storm was coming and she didn't have an umbrella. One night, Laura borrowed David's phone to take a photo of the kids. She saw a message pop up: "Can't wait to see you again." Her stomach dropped. Her breath caught. Her heart sank like a stone. A could only mean one person. Her own sister. She tried to push the thought away, told herself she was being paranoid. But after that weekend, things changed fast. David stayed out later. His excuses grew weaker. His smile became distant, and Amy, she was around more than ever, almost too much. Laura began to pay attention. She smelled perfume on David's shirts. He guarded his phone like it was made of gold. He claimed to be working late, but looked rested and guilty, the woman's. Intuition and Laura started screaming. Then came the final blow. One night, David left his laptop open. Laura couldn't resist. She opened it, and her world exploded. There it was: messages, photos, secret plans between David and Amy. When I opened that laptop and saw their messages, I froze. My entire body went numb. I couldn't believe what I was reading. There were pages of texts full of flirtation, secrets, and plans to meet while I was working. Photos of the two of them, some innocent, some deeply inappropriate, were saved in a hidden folder. They laughed at me in their messages, calling me clueless. I felt violated, betrayed, and disgusted. My own sister was the other woman. I didn't scream. I didn't confront them. I just sat there, staring at the screen, trying to understand how it got this far. All I could think about was how long it had been going on behind my back. Walked into the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror. My face looked unfamiliar, hollow. But instead of crying, I stood still. Something inside me hardened in that moment. Something that would not allow me to collapse. I thought of my children, asleep in their rooms, trusting their world was safe. I thought of the birthday dinners, the holidays, the times Amy held my hand and told me she loved me. It all felt poison now, like I'd been living in a lie. But instead of exploding or breaking down, I made a decision. I would not confront them right away. I wouldn't let my anger burn out too fast. I needed something colder, something smarter. They wouldn't see me coming. That night, I barely slept. I lay there staring at the ceiling, not feeling pain anymore, but calculation. I started thinking of every step I would take, every move I could make to turn this around in my favor. If they wanted to destroy my life in secret, then I would reclaim it in silence. I wouldn't scream, I wouldn't beg, and I wouldn't fall apart. I would rise, and they would never forget the day they underestimated me. The first thing I did was back up everything I found on David's laptop. I sent the emails, photos, and texts to a private folder on my own device. Then I started documenting his behavior, saving receipts, noting his lies. I needed to be smart. About this dot at work, I acted normal. At home, I cooked dinner, folded laundry, kissed the kids goodnight. I was still the same wife and mother, at least on the outside. But inside, I was building something. Quietly, carefully, I was preparing. For war, I didn't want revenge that just hurt them. I wanted results. I wanted to take control of what they tried to steal from me. They thought they were clever, thought they had fooled me. But I was already 5 steps ahead. Amy kept texting me, checking in like everything was fine. She'd ask how David was doing, how the kids were, if I needed help with anything. I answered politely, never giving a hint that I knew. It made her comfortable, and that was exactly what I wanted. Meanwhile, I started meeting with a lawyer during my lunch breaks. I wanted to know my rights. I wanted to understand custody, asset division, how to protect my kids. Every move I made was for them. I wasn't going to let a broken marriage ruin their lives. At night, I would lie beside David, pretending to be tired, uninterested, distant but not suspicious. He must have thought I was just distracted with work or motherhood. In reality, I was documenting everything. Every late arrival, every excuse, every missing hour. I also started talking to a therapist. Not because I was falling apart, but because I needed clarity. I wanted to process my emotions so they wouldn't cloud my actions. I wasn't going to be the bitter woman screaming in the driveway. I was going to win with dignity. It was strange, but for the first time in a long time, I felt powerful. I had a plan. I had evidence. I had peace in my heart because I knew I wasn't the villain. In this story, I was the woman who was going to survive it and come out stronger. Once I felt secure with the evidence and the legal information, I changed my approach. I began to act warmer toward David, like I was trying to reconnect. He seemed surprised at first, then relieved. He started being more relaxed around me again. I complimented him more, made his favorite meals, even flirted a little. He probably thought I was just trying to save the marriage. What he didn't know was that I needed him comfortable, careless, and confident in his lies. That's when people slipped out. Amy, of course, picked up on the change. She became more distant, less chatty in our texts. I knew she was jealous. She had never handled being second to me, and now she thought she was losing him. That insecurity made her sloppy. A week later, she sent David a message while he was in the shower. I saw it pop up on his phone. Why is she acting like the perfect wife now? Are you backing out? I quickly took a photo of the screen. It was perfect. Exactly what I needed. That same night, I planned a quiet dinner with my parents and invited Amy too. I wanted to observe how she acted in front of the family. She showed up smiling, bringing dessert like nothing was wrong. I played along, sweet and warm. At the table. I complimented her on her hair, her dress, her jokes. She laughed loudly, probably thinking she'd won. But deep down, I could see her eyes scanning me. She knew something had changed, but she couldn't figure out what. That gave me control. After dinner, I gave David a long hug in front of her. I told him how grateful I was for our family. Amy stood frozen, wine glass in hand, pretending to be amused. But her jaw was tight. That moment told me everything. She felt threatened. By the end of that evening, I knew my time was coming. They were beginning to doubt each other, starting to unravel. And I didn't have to scream, accuse, or cry. All I had to do was stay calm, stay smart, and let the truth corner them on its own. I knew I couldn't drag this on forever, so I started setting the stage for the truth to come out, but on my terms. I didn't want chaos. I wanted clarity. I wanted everyone to see exactly who they really were without me ever raising my voice. Began talking to close friends, carefully dropping hints about David being distant and Amy acting strange. Nothing too obvious, just enough to make people start observing them differently. I wanted suspicion to spread slowly, naturally. Then I scheduled a couples therapy session for David and me. I told him I wanted to work on things, and he agreed, probably thinking it would keep me distracted. What he didn't know was that I had already told the therapist everything in that session. I told my story calmly, as if it were hypothetical. The therapist nodded, letting David squirm in silence. He didn't deny it, didn't speak much at all. His silence said more than words ever could. It was another piece of my puzzle. After that session, he started acting anxious. He was quieter. At home, always on edge. Amy stopped coming around completely. I imagined they were arguing behind the scenes, trying to hold their fantasy together. But it was falling apart fast. I took the kids for a weekend trip to my sister-in-law's house, just me and them. David didn't come. I needed time away, and honestly, I wanted to see how he behaved when I wasn't watching. Sure enough, the moment I left, Amy showed up. What neither of them knew was that I had installed a small camera in the living room. Nothing illegal, just security for the kids. But it captured everything. Her walking in, them on the couch, talking about me, planning their next steps. When I got back and watched the footage, I didn't cry. I felt calm, almost relieved. They were still lying, still deceiving, still convinced they had power. But now I had the final piece. I had everything I needed to end this completely on my terms. I didn't want a dramatic confrontation. I wanted something lasting. So I planned a family gathering, just a casual Sunday lunch. I invited my parents, my in-laws, my sister Amy, and of course, David. I told everyone it would be a celebration of gratitude. David hesitated at first, but agreed. Amy said she'd come with a dessert, like always. I spent the entire morning preparing the house, cooking, decorating, smiling. No one suspected a thing. I was calm, polished, and ready. When everyone arrived, the mood was light. We laughed. We ate, we toasted. I looked both of them in the eyes, and they smiled back, completely unaware of what was coming. I waited until dessert to speak. I wanted full attention. I stood up and said I had something to share. I thanked everyone for being there, for supporting our family. Then I turned to David and Amy and said I had prepared a short video. I connected my phone to the TV and pressed play. The room went silent. The footage showed Amy walking into our house, her and David sitting on the couch, their voices unmistakable. They were laughing about me, talking about their plans. My parents gasped. My in-laws stared in disbelief. Amy jumped up, tried to turn off the screen, but it was too late. Everyone had seen it. David didn't move. He just sat there, pale, frozen. My father asked, "How long has this been going on?" And neither of them could answer. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood there and said, "This is who they are." I looked at my kids and promised them things would be different from now on. I told everyone I had already spoken to a lawyer, that I was taking control of my life. Then I thanked them again for coming, told them lunch was over, and walked out of the room. My hands were shaking, but my head was high. For the first time in months, I felt free. I had faced the storm and walked through it standing tall. The days after that lunch were strangely quiet. David moved out without saying much. Amy stopped answering calls. My parents were heartbroken, but they supported me. My mother cried more than I did. She kept apologizing for Amy's choices. My in-laws, surprisingly, stood by me. They were furious at David. His mother even said, "You didn't just break a vow, you broke a family." That stayed with me. I realized then I wasn't alone. People saw the truth. They knew who had betrayed. Who? I took a few weeks off work. I needed space. I spent my mornings walking through the park, breathing in the silence. For the first time in years, I didn't feel watched, judged, or lied to. I felt like I could finally hear my own thoughts again. The kids adjusted faster than I expected. I was honest with them, age appropriately. I told them Dad made a mistake, but that we would be okay. They asked questions, but they weren't angry. They just wanted to feel safe. And I made sure they did. Amy sent me a message one evening. It was short. I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I read it once and deleted it. She didn't deserve my reply. Her silence after everything had said enough. A sorry. Text didn't undo the damage. David tried to talk once too. He showed up at the door with flowers. I didn't even open it. I just spoke through the glass. I told him I hoped he found peace, but he had no place in my future. Then I closed the curtain and walked away. I went back to therapy with more purpose this time. Not to process pain, but to rediscover myself. I had spent so many years in service. To others as a wife, a sister, a caretaker. Now it was time to be just me. Whoever she was, I was ready to meet her. It wasn't easy. Some nights were still heavy, but I slept better. I smiled more. I made new routines. I was no longer the woman living in someone else's shadow. I was the woman who stood in the fire and walked out holding the match. A month after everything ended, I cut my hair. It wasn't a dramatic makeover, just enough to feel new. I looked in the mirror and didn't see the wife or the sister anymore. I saw a woman who had survived something unthinkable and come out. Stronger. I started doing small things just for me. I joined a local book club, took a weekend trip with a friend, even started cooking meals I liked instead of just what the kids preferred. It felt strange at first, but also exciting, like I was dating myself. I let the kids help with more responsibilities around the house. They were proud to be involved, and I was proud to give them the chance. We became a team, the three of us, learning how to build a life without pretending anymore. One night, my youngest came into my room and said, "You smile more now, Mommy." I didn't even realize it until he said it. That night, I cried not from pain, but from relief. I was finally becoming the kind of mother I had always wanted to be. I saw Amy once at the grocery store. She turned around as soon as she saw me. I didn't follow. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. Her shame was heavy enough, and I had nothing left to give her. Some silences are louder than screams. David tried contacting me a few more times, emails, voicemails, even flowers at work. But I never responded. I had already said everything I needed to say. My silence was the closure. I wasn't angry anymore. I was simply done. Eventually, I finalized the divorce. It wasn't messy. I had the evidence, I had the leverage. But more importantly, I had the peace of mind to walk away with my dignity intact. I didn't want revenge anymore. I wanted peace. And I got it. For the first time in years, I didn't dread waking up. I didn't shrink when I looked in the mirror. I didn't wonder what I had done wrong. I knew exactly who I was. I was the woman who had been betrayed and left standing. And now I was finally free. Looking back, I sometimes wonder how I didn't see it sooner. But love blinds us, especially when it's tied to family. I trusted too much because I believed too deeply in the people I loved. And that's not something I'm ashamed of anymore. What I do feel now is gratitude, not for the betrayal, but for the awakening. That pain forced me to choose myself. It ripped the floor from under me, but it also revealed a strength I never knew I had. A quiet, steady strength that no one could take away. I learned how to set boundaries without guilt. I learned how to say no without explanation. And I learned that survival isn't always about fighting. Sometimes it's about standing still while others destroy themselves trying to hurt you. My kids saw me rise, and that matters more than anything. They saw their mother hold her ground, protect her peace, and walk away without bitterness. I hope that lesson stays with them, that strength doesn't have to be loud to be real. I no longer care what Amy says about me. If she regrets what she did or tells herself lies to sleep at night, that's hers to carry. I returned her silence with silence, and that was the most honest ending I could have given her. As for David, I hope he learned something too. Maybe. Not right away. Maybe not at all. But I hope one day he looks back and sees the woman he lost. Not with regret, but with clarity. I hope he remembers I gave everything until I had nothing left. I'm not the same woman who started that marriage or that friendship with my sister. I'm someone else now. Someone softer in some ways, harder in others, but definitely someone more complete. And I'm proud of her. I truly am. Healing isn't pretty. It's slow and quiet. It's crying in the car and laughing at nothing and sleeping through the night for the first time in months. But it happens. And when it does, it changes you. I'm proof of that. Every single day. I didn't rush into anything after the divorce. I wasn't interested in filling a void or proving anything to anyone. I needed time to be alone, not lonely, just alone with my thoughts, my fears, and my dreams. And that space was healing. In itself, people asked if I would ever date again. I smiled and said maybe, but the truth was, I didn't know. I wasn't afraid of love. I was just no longer willing to accept less than I deserved. That kind of clarity comes with scars, and mine had finally closed. I started journaling every morning. Sometimes I wrote affirmations, other days just memories. Writing helped me clear the fog, helped me forgive myself. I wasn't perfect in that marriage, but I gave love, loyalty, and effort. That was enough. Eventually, I did meet someone new. It wasn't fireworks or movie scenes. It was quiet, gentle, a conversation over coffee that turned into long walks and shared stories. I didn't tell him everything at first. I didn't need to. He never asked for explanations. I wasn't ready to give. What surprised me most was how easy it felt to just be myself. No pretending, no performing. Just me as I am now, wiser, stronger, still healing, but open. That's the part no one tells you. Love after pain doesn't feel like fire. It feels like peace. I still carry what happened. Not as baggage, but as memory. A reminder of what I've overcome. I don't check phones anymore, don't wonder who's lying. I trust myself now, and that has become the foundation of every relationship I build. Sometimes I still hear songs that bring it all back, or see photos from those years and feel a pinch of sadness. But it passes quickly. I've made peace with the past. It no longer holds me hostage. It's just part of the story that made me whole. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm grateful. Not for the betrayal, but for the transformation it forced. I'm not the woman who was broken. I'm the woman who rebuilt herself piece by piece without anyone's permission. And that's the most powerful thing I've ever done. If someone had told me 2 years ago that I'd be standing on my own, smiling, peaceful, I would have laughed. Back then, I felt buried in shame, in confusion, in heartbreak. But time has a way of showing you who you really are. I learned that being betrayed doesn't define you. How you rise after the betrayal, that's what matters. You can fall apart, you can lose your way. But if you keep moving, even slowly, you'll find your way back. One breath at a time. To the women listening to this who are still in the middle of it, still unsure, still afraid. I see you. I was you. And you will get through this. You will find your strength in places you didn't know existed. You are not weak. You're just hurt. Don't let someone else's lack of loyalty make you question your worth. Their choices reflect them, not you. You were not too much. You were not too little. You were simply with the wrong person and trusting the wrong soul. It's okay to grieve what you thought your life would be. It's okay to miss people who hurt you. Healing isn't linear and it isn't clean, but it's possible. And the moment you decide to stop chasing explanations, peace begins to grow. You don't have to take them back. You don't have to stay. Friends, you don't even have to forgive them right away. You just have to choose yourself every single day in small ways. That's how healing begins. And that's how you rebuild. I rebuilt my life not by finding someone new, but by returning to myself. I stopped asking why they did it and started asking what I wanted next. That shift changed everything. It gave me power. And it gave me freedom. So here I am now, writing this letter with my windows open, sunlight on my face, music playing in the kitchen. It's not a perfect life, but it's mine. And every morning I wake up knowing I chose it. I earned it. And no one can take it from me. And that's the end of Laura's story, or at least the end of this chapter. She didn't just survive betrayal. She transformed it. She walked through fire and came out not burned, but reborn. And if she can do it, maybe someone out there listening can too. If this story moved you, I'd love to know what part resonated the most. Was it the moment she stayed silent when she could have screamed? The part where she exposed the truth with grace? Or maybe the way she chose herself every single time? Let me know in the comments what stories you'd like to hear next. I receive letters every week, stories of heartbreak, betrayal, redemption, and revenge. And I choose the ones that speak to the soul. Your voice helps guide which stories we bring to life here. If you're not subscribed yet, this is the perfect time. We tell stories that aren't just dramatic. They're real. Stories that reflect what so many people live through but rarely talk about. And we do it with heart, honesty, and a little bit of healing. To all the women listening tonight, your pain does not define you. What you do with it does. And to anyone who's ever been betrayed by a partner, a sibling, or a friend, you are not broken. You are just beginning again. And there's beauty in that. Laura's story isn't unique because of what happened to her. It's powerful because of how she responded. With intelligence, grace, and the quiet kind of strength this world often overlooks, but not here. Here, we honor it. So until next time, take care of your heart, protect your peace, and never let anyone make you doubt your worth. I'm Brenda, and this has been another story from one of our brave subscribers. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, sometimes the greatest revenge is simply becoming the version of yourself they never saw coming.